Hi, I'm Ann Bernard, and I am the host of the Next Level Connection, What and Who Business and Networking Events. I'm very happy that you found this video and that you're interested in attending one of the events. Now, you might think it's a little bit weird that I have an entire presentation, I have a class for you to watch before attending the event. Well, that's because this is a very unique type of networking event. And based on already having hosted the event quite a few times, I've come to realize that I have a responsibility to set you up for success so that you get the most out of the event. You're able to make those meaningful connections that are going to be of value to your business and to you. So, in this presentation, I'm not only going to cover what to expect and how to prepare so that you're successful and that you enjoy yourself. I'm also really covering things that you need to be considering, not just when you attend one of my events, but when you're out there networking. So, whether or not you attend one of my events, I really think that this is going to be a beneficial class presentation for you. So, let's go ahead and let's get into it. I've been hosting events now for quite a few months. And I started out by hosting only Who level networking events where I was inviting business owners, small business owners, to share a show don't tell story. And at one such event, someone came and before we got started, he asked this question. If people don't know what I do, why are they going to care about who I am? I had him repeat the question, and I said, "You wanna say that again?" He said, "Sure. If people don't know what I do, why are they going to care about who I am?" And I paused again, and I'm like, "Are you hearing what you're saying? Because it should be the other way around. Why should people care about what you do unless they know who you are?" And he said, "I agree that people should care about who I am before they care about what I do, but I don't think that's realistic. It hasn't been my experience." And he went on to say his experience going to networking events, conferences, is that people are constantly asking him what he does. And based on what he does, they decide if they want to know more about him. Even then, it's more about what he does, not necessarily about who he is. And while I completely disagree that that is, well, that's completely wrong in society that we do that, I did have to agree that it is the reality in our society. When you go to networking events, all you really do hear is about what people do, what they've accomplished, what they do. They might tell you why they do it, and they might share with you how they do it, but it's all at the what level. You rarely hear people share with you who they are. Now, this is extremely problematic, and mm, this shows and explains why that's problematic. Because if all I know is what you do, I might know why you do it, and I might know how you do it. It's not going to answer this. So I know, and if you've never experienced this, like I'm shocked and I'm amazed. The reality and the truth is when we hire someone to do a job for us, when we partner up with other business owners, when we interact with other business owners, other human beings, what ends up happening in business, these things happen, right? We send a referral to someone and they don't follow through, or we send a referral to someone and they do a poor job, or we hire someone to do a job for us, right? We partner up with other business owners to use their services and they end up delivering a substandard product or service. They miss deadlines, they fail to communicate or respond with us. So somebody, we start communicating and all of a sudden, we get ghosted, they disappear. They break confidentiality. They provide incomplete information. So you start working with them and you need information from them, and it's constantly incomplete information. You get a product or service from them and you provide them feedback and they ignore your feedback and your concern and they just keep doing things the way that they want to do it. They cancel on you last minute. They fail to honor their agreement or contracts. They come above cost. It takes more time than what they said it was going to take. They constantly show up unprepared. They're unreliable in crisis situation or just plain old unreliable. They ignore all the follow-up actions that need to be taken, right? So they sold you on the what they would do and how they would do it, and maybe even why it means something for them to do it for you. But all of these problems that arise, they're all part and based on who a person is. So if you don't get to know who people are before you get into business with them, before you partner up, before you hire them, before you do anything where they're going to be connected to you, if you don't know who they are, then odds are they're going to disappoint you, they're going to let you down, and they're going to do things that you didn't expect them to do. Because here's what happened. If you're a certain type of business owner, right, based on who you are, because you're honest, you're reliable, you're dependable, you're loyal, you're kind, you're generous, you're supportive, you have good communication skills, you're the full package, then you go around assuming that everybody else is. And then you end up getting let down and being disappointed because people are not you. They don't perform at the level that you expect because, again, they're not you. But the thing is, you didn't get to know who they are. So then whose responsibility and fault is it? It's, yes, partially part of the person's fault because they told you this is what I'm going to do. But at the end of the day, we have to take accountability and responsibility that if we don't get to know who people are, we shouldn't be shocked or surprised that they don't turn out to be who we thought they were going to be because we didn't get to know who they were. So the who is so critical and important. It has to be communicated, and it has to be communicated in a way that shows me this is who you are. So you're just telling me, because again, you can tell me that you're reliable. You can tell me that you're honest, that you're loyal, that you follow through. You can tell me all of these things. And if I choose to believe it, well, when I end up disappointed, it's kinda like, "Okay, well, I have partial responsibility for that," and then that's when we stop trusting people. That's when we start thinking, "Okay, well, I can't trust other people, I'm gonna do it all on my own." So these snowball effects take place because we didn't tell them, "Okay, you're telling me this is who you are, now show me." One of the ways that we now rely on people showing us who they are is through other people's testimonies and other people's reviews. That is powerful and that is very useful. But remember, that's still based on that other person's interaction with that service or that provider or that company, that organization, or that business owner. It still doesn't mean that it's going to be what your experience is going to be. So, how do you guarantee that you have the experience that you're looking for? Well, you need to know who people are, who you get into business with, who you give your business to, who you hire. You need to know who people are. So, these events is about mentioning what you do, and we're going to spend very little time on the what because the what really kind of does speak for itself. We're going to spend a lot more time on the who because the who is what matters the most. And the who is also, quite frankly, how you get into deeper conversation, have something more meaningful so that you have a better interaction with the person and the person has the opportunity to also get to know you. So this lends us to the question of what's the purpose of networking? And you have to ask yourself that question because you have to ask yourself how you show up at networking events, right? Do you show up on the hunt? meaning that you just want to hand out your business card to as many people as possible, and you want to let as many people as possible know what you do. And maybe someone in that room at that moment needs your service, and you'll get their business, right? Because when I'm asking what's the purpose of networking, you're probably thinking, building my business, generating income. Yeah, I get that. It is, you are there because you're looking for business, but you need to understand and ask yourself, what is the pathway to me getting the business? And that is the clients that I'm looking to serve, right? Who are the best for my product? So I really like Dr. Ivan Meisner's definition of networking when he said it's more about farming than it is about hunting. It's about cultivating relationships. So that means that I am meeting you, and that's a seed. So telling someone what you do, it is a seed. It's not a high quality seed. Being able to tell someone more about who you are, that's a quality seed that can then be watered in having deeper conversation, more meaningful interaction, so that they really come to understand who you are. And in the process, also what you do, and then they become more than a potential client, they become a referral partner, right? BNI is all about doing referrals. They become a referral partner, or they become an alliance, a business partner, right? There's so much more possibilities. They might be able to present you in opportunities that maybe has nothing to do directly with what you do, because they know who you are, and based off the who, you would be perfect for speaking engagement, or to teach a class, or you name it, to participate in something, be engaged in something that they're doing. Then that will lead to other opportunities. If you're just limiting your thinking to to what will happen in the moment at the networking event, then you're not understanding how to build a network, how to farm your relationship, right? So farming, we're seeding, we're watering, and the watering is the one-on-ones. The watering is checking in on your network, on your relationship and the people. It's having lunch, it's going out and doing different things together. That again might have nothing to do about business. Why do big business deals take place on the golf course, or really like after, right? So we do a round of golf, and after we talk a little bit of business, but that entire time that you're golfing, you're getting to know each other, interacting. Now I'm building the trust. So now I can bring this big requirement to you, right? So you seed, you water, and then there's a waiting period in farming where, you know, it doesn't, when you plant something, it doesn't just, boom, the next day it's there, right? It takes time. So you continue to nurture the relationship, and then there's a harvest. So it's very important that you look at it that way. The saying is that we do business with people we know, like, and trust. And it is that farming process that allows you to get to know people, decide if you like them, and ultimately, can you trust them? Do you know who they are? To where you would be shocked if they didn't deliver on time. You would be shocked if they end up ghosting you or lying to you. And I'm not saying those things they could still happen, but you would absolutely not expect them to happen, because you've taken the time to really know who they are. And quite frankly, they've taken the time to know who you are. They've invested. This is a two-way street. They're investing back into you. And once we've invested into someone, once we like them and we trust them, the vast majority of people do not want to break the trust. They don't want to come short of expectation. They want to, you know, rise up and over deliver. So But that happens when we know and we care about someone. So there is an investment in doing that. So again, this is, do you go into a networking event with the intent of building relationships? And how do you go about building those relationships? And this is where we're going to get to the who portion, because I'm all about I still, I used to be only about outcome and results. Now am about relationships, but I'm still about outcome and results. So I want to build a relationship, but I would like to expedite that. I would like it to, I don't want to drag our feet having all of these what level conversation that don't get us anywhere. So I do want to get deeper into how we're connecting and how we're communicating. So that's why we're going to get to that. But all right, let's I don't like talking about the what, but we got to do it. Okay, so the what. The what is what you do, right? So your 1 minute elevator pitch. Most people know at this point what an elevator pitch is. It's you sparking the interest in what you do in 30 to 60 seconds. You will get a minute at the event. So you want to communicate results and impact that you have had with other clients, right? So this is what I do. This is how it's benefited, impacted our others. This is what I do, and this is how I'm different from how others do it. And this is what I do, and this is how it's relevant to your business, and why you need my service, my product in your business. So being able to do that in 60 seconds. You also want a what that has value. So, how do you bring value to your elevator pitch? One way to do that is to provide something. So, this is what I do. I provide this type of, you know, you'll get, I'm different this way. And if you want to learn more about how I'm different, I give everyone a free assessment, da 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 da. And this is how to get your assessment. And then on your business card, there's a QR code that links to the free assessment, to your special offer, or you have a class, you have a handout. You're a bookkeeper. Like I'm a bookkeeper. I you know, I really care to ensure that you understand where your money goes, whatever, whatever. But if you want to do I understand sometimes you have to start out on your own. So I have this handout, 7 avoidable mistakes for your bookkeeping, right? So you're adding value, you're providing something. You're providing a special resource. It doesn't even have to be yours, right? So if you are a tax consultant, you might have, you might have access to some resources that I wouldn't have access to. You didn't create them, but you have one of them and ends up being a good resource. And again, you're providing, before I even do business with you, you're providing me with value. And that creates additional engagement. And this isn't like, okay, if you want my class, give me your email. Let's not do a QR code that goes directly to what they're looking for. I get it. We're taught, hey, capture people's emails so that you can reach back out to them. And how about you provide me the value, right? And at this event, you're going to provide the value because you're going to let people know who you are. And what's going to stick with them is not just what you gave them, what you gave away, but it's going to be interacting with you and having a desire to get to know you better. So you can trust, hey, I'm going to give you the QR code that's directly to the content. I'm not looking to capture your email address, your phone number, and all of that stuff. Here's the resource. And you know what? That's going to make you stand out because everybody else is trying to collect their information. And people are kind of, people still do it. I'm the type of person like, hey, if I get it. You're trying to do this to capture my information. We live in a time and age where I can go to Chat GTP and type in what are the avoidable mistakes or what are the type of mistakes people make with bookkeeping, and it's going to give me that list, right? So now, again, what you provide of value has to be at a deeper level because of how easy it is to access information and to get like really good content. So the value is linked to what you do and who you are. Okay, so that's as much as I'm going to say about an elevator pitch. There are a lot of classes on how to do it. You can go to ChatGTP and have it help you put your elevator pitch together. And I teach another class, which is elevator pitches versus personal storytelling, making meaningful connection. And I talk more about what and who level communication that can help you with putting your elevator pitch together. Okay, let's get into the who. Yay! All right. So, highlighting who you are. The way that I teach you to do this, that I recommend you do this, is through a show, don't tell personal story. Again, as I mentioned, don't tell me that you're reliable. Show me. Show me through a specific event, a specific moment where not only were you reliable, not only did you come through, but you had to overcome adversity in order to come through. But because you're determined to come through, you overcame the adversity. Guess what? That's going to be a story that communicates resiliency, determination, and being reliant. That's communicating a lot of good stuff about who you are. Now, you might not personally have this type of story. It's an example of story of a show don't tell story. But trust me, you do have show don't tell stories. Everyone can be a personal storyteller, and everyone has a plethora of stories that they can share. But in a nutshell, a show don't tell personal story is a story that highlights a personality or character trait, a value or virtue, or a lesson that you've learned. And it is about immersing us into a specific moment. My favorite type of show don't tell stories are the ones that uncover like the origin of who you are. So it's those pivotal moments where you learn something fundamental about who you are. I have quite a few of those stories, and they're from my youth. So the story of how I learned that it pays to tell the truth. And yes, it was after a hit and run accident. That happened to me when I was 16 years old. The story about how I learned how much it hurts and how devastating it is to betray somebody's trust. That's the story about my first prank, and I was 7 years old when I learned that. The story of how I learned that I can be trapped by my fears or freed by facing them, which means I'm the type of person that, you know what? I don't let anything stop me from accomplishing what I want to accomplish. I don't let any type of fear get in the way. That's a story from when I was 9 years old. So you're thinking, wait a second, like I don't share I do not share stories from my childhood. Well, guess what? It's a mistake that you're not sharing stories from your childhood, that you have placed the events that have shaped and impacted who you are on a shelf so that people don't get to discover just how embedded these qualities, virtues, lessons learned are in who you are. So I share my origin stories about how I learn about those things because guess what? In my youth, this became important and of value to me, and it has carried on. And now I'm 47 years old, and it has carried on for decades in my life, and it will be who I am for the rest of my days. So, I also have more recent stories. You should have a full on personal story repertoire. So then, all occasion and all situation and all topics and conversation, you can weave a story. But that's the ultimate goal, right? Let's get started with you being able to start mining your past to get to I'm gonna go here, then I'm gonna go back. You mining your past, you thinking about the things that have happened to you so that you can figure out what show don't tell story you want to share. Here's one way of looking at this. Who do you want to do business with? What qualities, virtues, personality, and character trait do you want those individuals to have? Who do you trust as a referral partner? Who, again, what qualities, virtues, quality traits, personality traits do they have? Who do you want as clients? And who do you have fun working with? I'm asking you to ask yourself those questions because when you're in a room networking with other business owners, the other business owners that you're with are looking to do business with the same type of people that they consider themselves to be. And now you're probably wondering, well, if I'm in a room full of business owners that they all think they're doing business at this level based on who they are, then why do I end up disappointed and let down? Because if I gave you a list of virtues, qualities, personality trait, and character traits, a lot of people will go crazy circling all the best ones. But then if I ask them, okay, now I need a personal story that highlights you really do possess that quality, that character trait, and that virtue and value, then I get a lot of blank stares. So oftentimes we represent ourselves on who we want to be versus who we actually are. So you're going to want to really dig deep into these are the people I want to do business with. I want as referral partners, I want as clients, and I want, that have a lot of fun. Here are the qualities and the virtues that they have. Now, which one do I possess? And they're the ones that you have a story to back it up, not a story that you're making up. You've had an experience where you learned about that, you applied it, or it became a lesson learned in that you came short, but because you came short, you now became that person. So, I want to do business with people that are humble, committed, good-hearted, they're wise, reliable, selfless, honest, they're caring, they're loyal, they're ambitious, they're supportive, they're kind, they're considerate. I can tell you stories, right? I have stories that highlight all of that about who I am. And if I'm going to do business with you, I'm going to be listening for you to show me that you possess these virtues, values, quality, personality traits. So that's a good way to figure out, okay, what story do I want to share? Again, this is based on who you want to do business with. And then that person's probably looking at you and saying, oh, this is who I would like to do business with. So I I can't teach you how to become a personal storyteller right here, right now, because I have an 8-hour course where I teach that, how to become a personal storyteller. Um, it is an art form, then you have to learn the skill set to do it. But you still have the ability to do it. And here are some key things to get you started. One, stringing a bunch of facts together is not personal storytelling. So I do not want you to put your resume back to back to back, the things that you've done, and tell me that that's your story and that's who you are, because it's a bunch of what, and it has no who in it. You're going to want me to guess what what those achievements have meant to you. And that you're going to get a bunch of assumptions from me. Recounting or retelling an event is also not personal storytelling. A story has a plot, a setting, characters, and theme. In a personal story, you're constantly sharing your thoughts, feelings, and emotion. It is literally a journey through your thoughts, feelings, and emotion. Think about the movies, the books, the plays that you watch. You connect to the characters because you know who they are, because they're letting you know by their actions, by their thoughts, by their feelings, who they are. So you're constantly having in your story having to keep the audience connected to you so that I experience this from your perspective. So then I walk away. I don't have an opinion of who you are. I have an understanding of who you are. So the way that you want to deliver the story is you want to have a little bit of a backstory, and that's to orient your audience. This is how you begin the process of immersing the person into the story. You're going to orient me to where the story took place, when it took place, what was happening beforehand before you immerse me to the specific moment. You want to introduce yourself as the main character. That's you. So that's no character, no story. As a listener to a story, I'm gonna bite into the character. Through the character is how I'm experiencing what happened. Well, you're the main character of your story, so you got to introduce yourself as the character of your story. Like I said, you have to share your thoughts, feelings, and emotion, and the story is told in the first person. It is I all the way through your story. This is something that happened to you. So you're not doing you're not teaching, you're sharing a story, and you're not this made up it's your life, but you're sharing a third person. No, 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 no. It is first person I is how you're going to share the story. Okay. If you have any question, do reach out. And at the end, I'm going to have my contact info and also the link to the school so that if you're really interested in this and you really want to bring your A game to this event, you can take the course and learn how to become a personal storyteller. Here's the other thing that's going to happen at the event. So we're going to have breakout sessions. Well, depending how many people attend, but if there's over 5 people, we're going to go ahead and do breakout sessions. Again, you're going to do 1 minute. You're going to share your elevator pitch. We're going to come back out. And then you're going to go back into another breakout room where you're going to share your story. So you need to be prepared to share your story. It is going to require you to open up and be vulnerable. That's that's why personal storytelling is so powerful, is because as a human being, we take that risk and we trust that the other people are going to listen to us and they're going to receive and they're going to care about what we have to share. That means that you're showing up, and when you're not sharing your story, you're the person that's listening to the other people and that you're caring about who they are. You're caring about the story that they're sharing. Ideally, it is an engaging, entertaining story. So that makes it a lot easier to listen and be interested. Is that you're feeling what they're feeling, you know what they were thinking, and you're engaged in the moment of what they experience. So you're going to want to, so you're going to be sharing and then you're going to be actively listening. Being an active listener is a tremendous skill to learn, just like being a personal storyteller. And it is this beautiful gift that you offer somebody else. The other gift that you offer based on actively listening to them, caring about who they are, being curious about them, is providing people feedback. So when you go back in the breakout session to share your personal story, you want to keep your story at about 3 to 4 minutes. So you're going to share, you're going to have 3 to 4 minute, time's going to all be yours to go ahead and share your story. Then we're going to leave a little bit of time for people to provide you feedback. This is closing the communication loop. This is very important, and we don't receive that. But this is why this event is different and powerful, is that people are going to provide you feedback on what they heard you say. Okay, so now what type of feedback should you be ready to provide? So as you're listening, as you're being immersed in their story, right? Afterwards, ask yourself, okay, what did I learn about the other person? Why does that matter to me? Right? So I learned, and that back to the reliable example I gave, right? I learned that not only are you reliable, you know how to overcome obstacles and you're very determined. And that means a lot to me because I want to do business with people that are reliable and they're not going to quit on me, that know how to, overcome challenges and setbacks. Right. So that's a value to me. So thank you for sharing that. Or how does this story resonate with my own experience? I've had an experience where there was a lot of adversity and I was able to persevere. And I would love to do a one-on-one and share that story with you. And I want everyone to ask a follow-up question. The person will not answer the follow-up question, but it's very important to ask it. One, because it lets the other person know what you heard and what you're curious about based on what you heard. And it creates that question that when you do the one-on-one, you can start your conversation with, right? So based on what you shared, I'm curious about. Based on what you share, I'm wondering if in this situation, what you would do. It depends on what the story that they share, right? What is your follow-up question? This means that you're listening, you're paying attention, you were able to absorb and process what they shared with you. I have to tell you, I usually people can come and they're ultimately able to share a story. The biggest struggle people have is with this, actually providing feedback. We're not used to doing it. And this is a very, very high quality, high value skill to possess because that is how you go deeper into getting to know people. This is how it is through the feedback, it is through reflective listening that you can ensure that you heard what they said properly. This is you putting an end to making assumptions about what the person said and ensuring that you validate and you verify that what you heard is correct, what you learned and what you're taking away is in alignment with what they communicated. This is so powerful. You receiving it is going to expand your understanding of what you communicate, and you giving it is really going to enhance your ability to provide constant value to someone. So when somebody's providing you feedback, you want to write it down. Maybe not right away, maybe because you want to pay attention to the feedback that they're giving you. But when you leave the event, you want to write it down. So this story, the story that you shared, the feedback that you received, the follow-up question, because the follow-up question, again, they help you prepare to engage in meaningful conversation so that in not this event, but you go to another networking event and you deliver a story and people have follow-up question, you're ready to answer them. And the key to being prepared and ready, like preparing what we communicate, is ensuring that we know what we're communicating so that we don't insert foot into mouth and say the wrong thing. And the more prepared that we are to communicate, the more that we know what we're communicating, then the better the outcome and the results that we're going to get from what we're communicating. Okay. Speaking of, so let me add this. Um, so at this event, clearly I'm inviting you. I'm telling you, not just inviting you, I'm telling you, you need to come prepared to share a personal story. So we're going to create the space, the time for you to share the story. Now you're probably thinking, well, okay, well, how does that work when I go to other networking events, right? To where, well, I'm used to going to networking events and sharing my elevator pitch. How do I go about sharing a personal story? Okay, so here's how you do that. When somebody comes up to you, they're probably going to come and say, "Hey," and this is what happens at a networking event. They'll come to you and say, "Hey, what do you do?" You can ask them back, "Do you want to know what I do, or do you want to know something about who I am?" So that's going to give them pause, like, huh. And they might just say, "You know what? Just tell me what you do." And I went like this because this is a very dismissive gesture because and that's kind of like that's the value we place on people telling us what they do. Because a lot of people, they're there to tell you what they do, not necessarily hear what you do. And if you encounter people that they don't even care about what you do, they're certainly not going to care about who you are, not the type of people you want to be in business with. Like, let it go. Find the people of quality. They're the type of people you want to be in business with because they're the type of people who are going to be successful. So they might just be starting out in business, but they're quality people. They're quality who they will succeed in business. And that's who you want to connect to. But let's go back. So the person says, yeah, tell me, yeah, welcoming. Yes, tell me a little something about who you are. That's when that like, okay, let me share with you how I learned that it pays to tell the truth. Or I can say, better yet, do you want to hear about how I learned that it pays to tell the truth? Do you want to hear how, although, this happened, I still delivered on time, right? Now you're asking permission to share a story, but you delivered a hook that piques their interest. So now they're saying, yes, tell me that story. So now you have buy-in. And this is where you deliver a well-formulated, engaging story that immerses them into an experience that makes them feel something that allows them to really relate to you. And now once you're done sharing the story, what's going to happen is either you're going to have more questions for you or they're going to want to share one of their own stories. But either way, now you can really like take a deeper dive into developing a meaningful connection via having a deeper conversation with them. So this is where we're aiming for, where we're going to shift to where you're making sharing who you are of higher value than what you do. And at this event, we're going to get the what out of the way. We do. I want you to feel like, okay, now that I've told them what I do, I feel more relaxed to tell them who I am. And then when you're out and about at different networking events, you can try it out. You can sometimes just share what you do, sometimes go through the process. Do you want to know what I do? A little something about who I am and see what the difference is. What type of, again, rapport, relationship, conversation do you have? Okay, so I like I said, I teach people how to discover, understand well, I haven't said that. This is my what. What I do. I teach people how to discover, understand, communicate who they are, and author who they're becoming through personal storytelling. I've created a proprietary framework that allows you to learn how to become a personal storyteller. It is a process. Everyone can be a personal storyteller, but there are very, very few natural born storytellers, right? You have to learn the skills. And once you've learned the skills, then you become an artist, right? Then you can perform the art of personal storytelling. So I invite you to join the World Personal Storytelling School and community. The aim there really is to create community. That's why the course sells for $1,977, but you can get a subscription for $37 and access the same course. Why? Because if you subscribe, you're subscribing not just to the training, the course, but into the community. And it is within the community that you can come practice your stories, receive the feedback, and build that community of the process of developing yourself as a personal storyteller, because it's not just a communications tool, it's also a personal development tool, which is why it's not just about communicating who you are, it's authoring who you're becoming, and you get to do that in community. So that is all the contact information to get started with that. I hope I will see you at one of the events. You can sign up via Lineable or Eventbrite. It is every Thursdays at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I look forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me, leave a comment, reach out, come to the event and ask the questions. But I hope this was useful and helpful, and really that it was more than just learning about what this event is all about, but it was truly about expanding how you're going to show up at networking event, who you're going to be looking to connect with, and the value that you're going to provide with everyone that you do connect with. So it's been a pleasure. I hope to see you soon.